couple of months ago, I decided to do a video where I was exploring different metal bands from different countries. First video I chose to talk about was the country of Greece. That video was one of my most viewed videos on my channel. I believe it has over 11,000 views. Since then I have been receiving lots of recommendations for other Greek metal bands, and I've done follow-up videos. One of my recommendations was the band Nightstalker, and they happened to put out a new album called Return from the Point of No Return. So for that reason, I decided to give the album its dedicated video so I can review it. So let me get started. Nightstalker is a stoner metal band from Athens. They formed in 1989, and they've grown in popularity over the years. They're even considered to be one of the pioneers of stoner metal genre, as they came out around the same time as a few other stoner metal bands from the United States, such as Kyuss and Fu Manchu. Although the band Nightstalker never became as popular as those two bands I just mentioned, they have an underground following. They have released a total of 9 albums over the years, so now it's time to talk about Return from the Point of No Return. The album was released on March 14th, 2025. It has 8 songs. It's 38 minutes long. The album is filled with lots of guitar riffs. Most of the guitar playing is based on the blues, and there are also elements of psychedelic rock throughout the album. The album also features vocals from the original frontman, Argy Galiatsatos. Sorry, I probably butchered that one, but I noticed something interesting about his vocals because I listen to a lot of different bands, and I listen to different bands sometimes, and what I notice, sometimes I notice singers, they remind me of famous metal singers. So for example, I've heard a few bands where the lead singer sounds like Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. Same can be said about singers where they sound like either Rob Halford or even Ronnie James Dio. But the other day I was thinking about the fact that I haven't found anyone who sounds like Ozzy Osbourne. But now I'm listening to this album and I'm thinking this guy sounds like Ozzy. So maybe I finally found somebody who sounds like Ozzy Osbourne. I thought that was interesting. Let me jump into the songs. The opening track is called Dust. The song kicks off the album with a lot of energy. It has a hard driving drum beat, some thick and heavy guitar riffs, and just a very big sound in general. This has a nice production value with a heavy low end, and you can hear the bass guitar play alongside the guitars and add in these little trippy sound effects in the background. As the song progresses, they go into a guitar solo. It sounds like some classic rock. They're not really reinventing the wheel, they're just playing traditional guitar solo as you would hear from any blues-based band. The next song is called Heavy Trippin', and I think the name is very appropriate because it has a sound that's more psychedelic in nature, as the first thing you hear is the trippy bass guitar sound, goes into some really big and heavy guitar riffs. It's one of those songs that moves a little slower, it sounds a little closer to Black Sabbath. They still have that signature stoner metal sound, and they layer the song with clean riffs, and it gives the music a very psychedelic type of sound. The song goes back and forth with sections with heavy riffs and lighter sections with trippier sections. The song is slower and it takes its time. Even the guitar solo has some pretty cool wah-wah effects. It almost gave it like a Jimi Hendrix type of sound. Track number 3 is called Uncut, and it continues with a signature stoner metal sound. This one has a music video showing the band performing in the studio. Later on, towards the end of the video, you see the band playing before a large crowd on stage. It's a fairly simple video, and it's a good way to just get to know the band. This one has lots of big guitar riffs, some powerful drumming. I really like the drumming because the drummer plays lots of triplets in addition to that standard rock and roll type of beat. I also like the song because you can hear the bass guitar very well, and there's even some parts of the song where the bass is the main instrument. Track number 4 is called Return from the Point of No Return. This one also has a music video, but it shows the band playing in the studio. They also cut to a guy who's working out in a gym, and it seems to be an older guy. Maybe he's trying to get back in shape, and the lead singer is watching the guy from the gym, from these CCTV cameras, and at the end he rolls a big fat one and he smokes it. So I thought it was really cool, and I don't know the meaning behind the song, but it probably has something to do with the video. It's another hard rocker, lots of big guitar riffs. It moves at a slower pace, Thought it was cool, had some distortion to some of the vocals. And for those of you who are fans of the bass guitar, you can hear a pretty cool bass guitar solo, as well as a classic rock style solo.
There you go again.
There are 4 more songs in the album. The next song has a weird song title. It's called Shipwrecked Powder Monkey. It's a different type of song. It sounded like some psychedelic folk music at first. It's mostly guitars with bright, clean tone, and then it goes into those big and heavy guitar riffs that we know from the band. The song alternates between the heavy guitar riffs and the slower and trippier psychedelic sections. As we get back into the guitar sounds, it sounds like something you would hear on like an early Black Sabbath album. There are 3 more songs in the album. This one is called Shallow Grave. This one starts with a bass guitar solo. The intro to the song is pretty laid back. It's just vocals and bass. It's definitely one of the slower and more psychedelic sounding tracks, and even falls into that desert rock genre. It's the kind of song that evokes images of being out in the desert by yourself and just staring up at the stars, and all you have is a bonfire to keep you warm. They pick up the pace a little bit in the second half of the song, so it's still a song that's filled with some pretty big guitar riffs. There are 2 more songs in the album. The penultimate song is called Falling Inside. This one reminds me a lot of early 90s grunge music, and that was what I got from it. They continue with the same style, lots of big guitar riffs, and this one a little bit more straightforward. They also add in some signature psychedelic touches with some distorted effects on the vocals. They end the song with the longest song in the album, and it's 7.5 minutes. It's called Flying Mode. I guess their intention was to make you feel like you're flying, because it's mostly a very slow and trippy type of song. It has a structure similar to many other stoner rock and metal bands. The vocalist sounds a lot like Ozzy Osbourne on this one, and it has that type of vocal distortion similar to the song Planet Caravan from Paranoid, something like that. After the first 2 minutes, the song picks up the pace a little bit, and they continue with more big guitar riffs. Then around 4.5 minutes, it goes into an extended drum solo with a bass guitar. It's pretty cool, and more psychedelic territory. At this point, it goes on for a few more minutes, and it's more like an extended jam session. So in conclusion, I think it's a solid album. I think it's straightforward. They give you what you expect. There are lots of big guitar riffs, lots of psychedelic rock elements, and it's just a very good, heavy rock album. I'm just going to call it that. Plus, I've read these guys don't like labels anyway, so I'm going to call it a heavy rock album. My score is going to be 7.5 out of 10. I think it's good if you like retro heavy metal. It doesn't necessarily sound like Black Sabbath, but sounds like the music of that time. It has a very retro sound. Plus, the singer reminds me of Ozzy, so I like that. So now's the time where I recommend you watch another video, and I think the most appropriate video for me to recommend is the episode on bands from Greece. I will include the episode where I talk about Nightstalker and I talk about their first album from 1993. I will put that right there. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please give the video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.